Recording in progress. Okay. I don't necessarily know what I'm going to be talking about today. I have an idea. But from the prices that I charge on my website to my answers, to my processing, to walking around in my kitchen, even eating, cooking, going on a walk, like whatever I do, you guys, I'm constantly talking to God. And I get his input on everything. There are times when I have screamed and yelled at my masculine and sworn him up and down and just let him have it. But I didn't do it without God's permission. So now my definition of God may be different than yours. God to me is a group of deities, meaning your oneness with life itself, oneness with consciousness. So your mind becomes one with all that is, basically. And I know this to be a true thing because I've been enlightened a couple times before, 2-3 times ish. And people say you can't come back from enlightenment. Maybe I was in the 5D. I don't know the technical name for it. And I don't think, people who act like they're like the authority in that or something, it's like, it really kind of cracks me up. It's like, okay, yeah, you're the authority in the other realm. I've been over there and it is not something you can put a finger on. And it is definitely not something that you can put rules and regulations and boundaries around. Okay, guys. So there are no all-knowing people unless they themselves are enlightened. And even then, they're not going to go around telling you, they're not going to be, they're more fluid than that. They're much more flexible and fluid in their definitions of things. So, see, I wasn't expecting any of that to come out. What I wanted to talk about today, or what Spirit was prompting me to talk about today, honestly, was that a lot of you are transitioning out of jobs that you've been in before, and you're going into something that's more, you feel like you're being pulled to it, or you think it would just be so much more fun and fulfilling to do or whatnot. But what you probably may not be realizing is that you're aligning with God's will for you. So, there's this whole thing about how you can't make a living at what you love doing, which, of course, we are now at this point in time, we are all really coming to a point when we're really calling the BS for what it is. The Luciferians, the Satanists, all those guys have been trying to put the kibosh on our empowerment for like a long, long time. We're finally starting to see it in everything that we go to do, everything that we go to watch, everything, everywhere. It's in all of our symbolism. It's rampant. And that is just one of those things. You shouldn't charge for your services. That's a bunch of bullshit. And you guys know it. Because you should be able to enjoy and be fulfilled in the thing that you love and be able to do that full time if you want to. And there should be an exchange. No one should be taking advantage of other people. So, it's about balance. And so, of course, they want you to slave away at a 9-to-5 job and have guilt about doing something you feel passionate and inspired about. Duh. Really? And, so many of you have fallen for it. I have fallen for it in many ways. I never fell for it in that way, but I have fallen for a lot of their shit. Trust me. So, but we're wisening up. We really are. And as we're doing that, I just wanted to share parts of my story with you guys that might help inspire you to leave your jobs, to do what you really want to do, because we are coming into a telepathic time. We'll be able to read each other's minds. We're going to have a quantum financial system that has an artificial intelligence that is actually compassionate and kind and will not allow nefarious things to happen. No more scamming, no more duping, no more of that type of activity going on with finances. No one can steal from you anymore. There are some good things to technology that are coming, you guys. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and say that technology is a bad thing either. I want you guys to start getting ready for these days to come, because I feel like we need to be leaning into it. We need to catch a vision of what we want to do, what we want to be, and how we could work with technology. Because if you guys could see what ETs are capable of, it's so much more than our archaic ways. So they know a lot more than us, and they have tried to share certain technologies with us that would help us, that would help things to be quick and easy and effortless and incredible. Being able to use our telepathy to operate a computer. So we just look at our computer and think, I'd like to make a video. Bloop, 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 bloop. The video comes up, this comes up, blah, blah, blah. And it could identify you by a microchip or something. We don't know what's up ahead necessarily, but don't say just because it's a microchip or just because it's a nano anything that it's bad. Just be discerning and listen to your intuition like I do. Ask God about every little step that you make. Is this okay that I make this call? Is it okay that I leave this message? Should I share this with him? Should I share this with her? Should I be, does it, just check in with everything and learn to rely on it. Now, I know some of you doubt your ability to listen to your intuition, and I've been there. When I first started this whole thing, I was in the corporate world for many years. I was an executive secretary. I was a marketing professional. I was in marketing and advertising for years. And then, I was out modeling for a while. I was in horse training. I worked for the Ferrante Cutting and Western in Somas. And, it's like, I've been doing it all for a long time. I grew up on a ranch when I was little. I mean, I didn't live there, but I was there all the time for, pretty much 8 to 18, and I was a ranch hand. So I know how to work hard too. But then I went into the corporate world. Like I said, I went and worked at a lot of temp agencies, which was awesome because I got so much experience. It just made me really versatile. And I got to figure out what it is that I'm drawn to and what I'm not, and what kind of people I like to work for. So I went through all of that and then became a community relations director. And in fact, I coined that title, by the way, guys. I'm the one who created that title. There's a whole story behind it, but everybody's called a community relations director in retirement living now, if you're a marketing director, but I used to be called a marketing director. So I got a promotion one time and my boss said, I want you to create a title for what you do. It was nobody had ever called it that before. It was always marketing director. And I gave it a good few days. And then I came into his office and I said, I want to be a community relations director. I said, that's what I think describes this job the best. Like I keep the community flowing. I'm like the mother bear of everyone. And, they bring their problems to me and I solve them, and I find them the best place for them to live. And I help the families cope. And it's like I direct the community, I'm a community relations director, relationships within the community. So it made perfect sense. And I remember going into the next networking event. We were around this big table and everybody stood up. Marketing. I'm Edna, marketing director for blah, 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 blah. And, we all went around the table and they got to me and I said, I'm Amy and I'm a community relations director. And they all went, whoa, I like that title. That sounds cool. And all of a sudden it just went everywhere. So, and I've always been that way. I'm an Aries. So I create things. I get the spark going for, everybody to create all this other stuff. I'm like a muse for everybody. So, yeah, they just said you get trends set, you set the trends. Yeah. And so despite any kind of astrological anything, because I don't think we should label ourselves that way either. Well, I'm really limited because I'm just a Cancer and I'm really sensitive or whatever it is. Don't do that to yourself, you guys. Don't box yourself into any kind of label at all. Because even I believe the astrological signs are like, these pieces of a pie. And, sometimes you operate out of this piece and sometimes you operate out of this one or that one or that one, depending on the moment, depending on what you're going through and whatever engages in that moment, whatever aspect of you engages. However, when you are truly enlightened, and I don't mean like aware of things or self-aware or realize that things are going on, I don't mean that kind of enlightened. I mean, actually, who and what you truly are past the personality. Like you break through to the other world, and it is truly another world. It is a whole other realm, and it is so vastly different than we think in the physical form. And it's easy and effortless, and you manifest whatever you want with blinking your eyes. Oh, that's a good idea. Blink, and it's created. And it's not bad or shameful, like we've been brainwashed to think all of the things that empower us, all of the things that make us one with God have been shamed and told that they are bad. Using tarot cards, oracle cards, all the stuff that empowers us in our relationship with God has been shamed by the Luciferians to keep us squashed. I hope you guys are catching on to all this, So question everything right now. Question everything that, if you're holding a stance and you've got your arms crossed and you're pretty darn opinionated and you think you know what's going on, question that, whatever that is. Just question everything right now. Because if it disempowers you or somebody else or divides you from someone else, it's probably a line of BS. And you should probably question it. And you should probably wonder, I wonder who would teach that type of principle. It's very limiting. It's very judgy. It's very divisive. If it's any of those things, it's probably the Luciferians that created it. Luciferians created the church. Sorry, guys. Every religion, every organized religion was created with these by these guys. It wasn't created by good people. So, and good people went were in there and had good intentions, but the people at the top were doing some pretty rotten things, really rotten things. If you don't know about that, I don't know. Do keep digging, but don't dig in Google or YouTube. Dig in, other alternative places. Be careful where you do your research too. Anyway, so I have that full background, and then after I was in the corporate world for a long time, I never ever would have thought that I would do this for a job ever. And I know some of you can relate because I've talked to some of you. Then I got to a point where I wanted to work from home, and I didn't know how I wanted to work from home. So I was trying to come up with something that I was excited about and that I loved that I could do. And so I wanted to be an animal trainer, like positive reinforcement animal trainer, because I had trained my own German Shepherds. I had 3 German Shepherds, a Maltese, and 5 cats at that point in time. And I thought, I want to make a living doing something I really love to do. And I love animals, as you guys know. But that, as I got into that and I started doing that for a while, and I found myself kind of hiding that I could talk to the animals. I've always been a Pied Piper since I was little. And I thought it was normal to talk to animals until I realized it wasn't. And so, and we can all do it. We just don't necessarily recognize it. But so basically, so I started doing that kind of work, and I was hiding that I was an intuitive within it. And then finally, I saw some other gal in Granbury, Texas, and she said, Helen, hi, Helen. She's such a beautiful soul. But she just went right out there and said, I'm an animal communicator. And I was like, did you just say that in Texas? Are you kidding? And you're not getting, I was thinking she was going to get the pitchforks and stuff, but no, she'd been doing it for years. Nobody batted an eye at it. And I was like, dang, if she can do it, why aren't I doing that? How come I'm not being more authentic about what I do? Because that was more it. It was kind of a cool program. If anybody wants to do something like it, I doubt I'll ever do it again, but I called it a pet parenting program. So I would go into people's homes and I would actually take a look at all the different areas of their lives and how they're treating their pets. And I would just kind of like go through a checklist, and then we would see what's lacking and what they could use improvement on. How often are you walking your animals? How do you take care of their bowls? Their food and water bowls are important. How often do you this, that, or the other thing? Show me where they sleep. Show me the conditions in which they're sleeping. Tell me what happens when the family comes in the living room. What do you do with the animal then? How are they relating to the other animals in the household? I would do this in their home, and I would assess the whole thing and all this stuff. But in the meantime, their animal would tell on them until, they would lie to me. Of course, human beings I've come to realize they lie a lot. But, so they would be lying to me, and the animal would be like, that's not true. That's not true. And then I would like tell the person, I'd say to the person, are you sure that that's how many times you walk your dog? And then they'd be like, they'd look at their dog, why do you question, So anyway, it just kept evolving. I mean, it's not like some of you expect that it's just going to like drop in your lap and it's going to be like, boom. And then overnight it's going to just explode or something. But what I'm here to say is all along the way, I kept feeling like an intuitive pull toward it without knowing that it was my intuition even. I questioned and doubted myself the entire time. I didn't know how to get my name out there. I didn't know how to, I didn't have the confidence to do a YouTube channel when I first started out. And I was just kind of like a little hermit, like all, what do I do? And then someone's like, well, why don't you go sit at a cafe maybe and do free readings? And I was like, okay. That's going to be really embarrassing. And I went out there, the same flowers that I used at the Lighthouse Bookstore, you guys, that's what I went down there with. And I went to this little cafe and I talked to the owner and I said, or the manager, and I said, do you think that I could do some readings in here on Fridays from like 12 to 1 or 12 to 2 or something like that, So she said, I'd love that. That'd be awesome. Sure. So I got this little table and I had my little bouquet of flowers and it just said free readings. And it had like a little jar. Some days I would just sit there eating fresh chips and whatever else they had, like a sandwich, and like just hang out forever. Nobody would want any free readings. And I was like, this sucks, and it was really playing with my self-esteem and whatnot. And then I just kept, my friends would be like, so how's it going? And then I found out that there's such things like psychic fairs. I could go to a psychic fair, and then you go and there's all these intimidating booths everywhere. They're like, I'm an angel toner. And I'd be like, what is that? I'm into sacred geometry, put this helmet on and I will program it for the, tetrahedron or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, whoa, and I would just be like, oh, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And so then I basically I went to a psychic fair, scared to death, my heart beating really hard the whole time. I mean, you're always scared trying something new. And I went in there and I sat at the table and I just had some little beads and my flowers. It was just like kind of do. And I'd have nice people who would come by and be like, you seem really nice, what do you do? And I would say, well, I just talk to spirit and whatever comes to me, I just tell you. And so they're like, I'll try that, So it was a very painstakingly slow process, but I just wanted to do something that was from the heart and that would keep polishing up my skills and abilities as an intuitive. I wanted to have a lot of exposure to a lot of people so that I could practice a lot and get better at what I do all the time. And I did. And practice. And I didn't spend a bunch of money on the hoopla. I didn't, my main objective, and I tell you guys this in private readings all the time, my main objective was to just be myself. And if it truly was something that God was pulling me to, then God would do all the work. All I needed to do was just be myself. And it's true. And it worked. And every time I just kept being pulled to bigger and bigger opportunities. More and more people knew about me and it started to spread and I started to get a reputation. And then some people with a juice bar that had a little practitioner office heard about me and invited me to go there. And And they said, well, you do Qigong and stuff too, right? And I was like, well, yeah. And they said, well, use your Qigong and do like a combination of your intuition and Qigong. And I mean, it just kept building on each other. It just kept building, like everything that and I was all scared. They were like, why don't you just gather reviews from the people you've been to? I don't know. I don't, and even people would cry after some of the sessions. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, that was so incredible. I felt such a release. And I'd still be scared to ask them, oh, can you give me a review, please? Like, could you, I'd be really nervous. I was even nervous teaching a free class on Qigong back then. Everything made me nervous back then. And then to charge what they asked me to charge, because I had to charge the same as everybody, which to me was like a lot of money. I was like, oh. In the corporate world, when you're working for somebody else, kind of like with I don't know, when you got the, like, well, I'm backing this person up. It's not about me. I'm backing them up. It's a lot easier to be brave and strong. I was selling $10,000 rooms to the elderly. Of course they had the money to do it, but I had no problem with that. And it's because it just made sense, to me. But like $100 for a practitioner for just me, I was like, oh, no. So we do that as people. And again, back to our programming from these Lucy's and these, others. We got to go against that program, you guys. We got to start going against it, because there are shortcuts we will always be offered. People paying us a favor, or people, or us just, or us being willing to do things not within our integrity in order to make more money and things like that. I never fell for that type of stuff. I never wanted to. My thing has always been truth, integrity, and be myself. That's it. Because I felt if I would never have to be called up on something if I didn't do anything wrong, and and even when you're doing things from a place of integrity and you are being authentic and you are being truthful and all that good stuff, then you get the jealous people who still watch your channel, still chat with you on your lives, or try to get your attention. Like, there's still people who try to put that in there. I can't believe you just went from $11 a minute to $22 a minute. Oh, she's a horrible person. It's like, no, dude, I got inundated. How about open up your mind and see what happens to your channel when it blows up? And you've got so many people now that if you charge $11 a minute, I'd be on there for like 6-8 hours, you guys. Do you know what that does to somebody who channels? It's like impossible. I had to come up with a way to slow down the stream a little bit. I had to come up with, like, how do I slow this down a little bit more manageable so that when I get on for a couple of hours, it will last about a couple hours. It's like and like I said, I never do anything without God's consent. That is the most important thing, I think, that you just always check in with God. Just always check in with God. But there will always be people who will have a problem with you for whatever reason they're coming up with. And people have an ego and they've got issues, and they have their, the people who would be upset with that sort of thing are the people who would do that sort of thing for bad reasons because they got greedy. That's the person who is blaming it on you. Everybody's projecting onto you what their shit is. It has nothing to do with what you're doing. So don't let other people judge you. That's another good lesson along the way. Don't let other people put their stuff on you. Everybody's got their stuff, and everybody is going to come in and say, you shouldn't charge for your services. You shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Who do you think you are? Do you know that at one point in time, I had a best friend? Man, we were so close. We did everything together. And she actually was kind and compassionate enough to teach me some skills and things that I didn't know. She kind of took me in her wings sometimes. She had a lot of incredible knowledge about certain things. And then one day she just, I hit a trigger for her, and she just popped off all of this venomous stuff on me in like a 10-page email. It went forever. And when I went to read that email, I avoided it for a while because I wanted to do it when I was in the right mood to do it, where I could have a totally open heart and an open mind. And I did, and I waited. And then when I went to read it, I actually looked for anything in there that I could improve about myself. I wanted to see some truth in it. I wanted to see, all right, where is she right? Where is she right? And I'm going to put it to task, and I'm going to work on whatever that is. I'm going to use the nasty email, because I could tell it was nasty. I'm going to use the nasty email to make me better as a person at what I do, or whatever it is, So I went through and I read the thing, and it was very difficult to read. My ego was just like, let me get in there. Let me get in there. And my consciousness was like, no, we are looking at this from an objective standpoint. We are the observer. The ego's like, no. So I had this like battle going on within me. but my consciousness won. And I just really read it from a standpoint of wanting to grow. And by the end of it, I think I just wrote like 1 or 2 sentences. And that's when you're clear, is you don't react with a lot of like it's not like ping pong. You're not attacking them back, and they're not going to hear you anyway. If somebody's that much in their ego, they're not going to hear anything you have to say. You guys are wasting your breath if you're trying to argue with anybody who's being mean and nasty and negative. It's just that's why I just block them off my channel. I'll hide them from my channel or just block them. I don't even want to deal with negative people, because if it's not one thing, it's going to be another the next minute, and then another, and then you're just going to have to constantly be dealing with them. So I get rid of them as quick as I can identify them. And my moderators are the same way. They're just like, out of here, out of here, out of here. We don't want to deal with people like that. So you can let them show you an aspect of yourself that might be getting triggered. You always want to use everything for your growth. So, but I think I said something just very simple back to her. And what I noticed from that perspective of that self-awareness that I was in was that she was very, very hurt. She was very, very upset, and she questioned herself and her own abilities. But in there, she said, you are wrong. You're terrible, and you suck, basically, at everything that you do. And that was only like part of what she talked about. And she went on about a bunch of stuff. And so then I could have decided in that moment, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. See, she's been at this for a long time. She knows what she's doing. I could have given my power away to her and said, she's the one who's a professional. I'm somehow some kind of imposter, or I'm just a novice, or I could have minimized myself like she did. I could have chosen to believe her, but I didn't. I knew better. What came up in my mind as she was saying all that is all the people who were like, Amy, you impacted my life, you changed my life, and they were crying and they were grateful, and they did start sending in testimonials. Now I get them all, like almost every day, all the time, and I proudly post them on Instagram, and I think it's cute and fun and neat that everybody get to contribute their opinion of what's happened and all that kind of stuff. So, these things become old hat after a while, after a lot of practice and a lot of experience. But I've gotten so confident in my abilities now that if I'm scanning somebody's system and I come up with something and they just go, nope, can't relate. I have no idea what you're talking about. A lot of time they're just coming from their ego, and they just have their walls up, and they're just being stubborn because they think you should be able to read their mind, or like, they really get an attitude sometimes. And it's just like, dude, like, and then when I find out what they're doing for a living, I'm just shaking my head going, are you serious? Where's the love? Where's the compassion? Where's the understanding for a fellow human being? Where is the understanding that I may even operate different than you do? It's not going to be, who are we to sit there and say somebody should be a certain particular way? We're all unique individuals. So, when you're coming from an open heart and an open mind, and you're actually healed yourself, then you can really listen openly and say, well, let's see what this has for me. I know that generally speaking, life brings me wonderful things. I can't wait to see what this is going to, what's going to unfold for me. And that's 99% of my clients. I get the sour apple every once in a while, and usually I'm able to win them over, and not by efforting, but just they relax after a bit. And sometimes I have to tell them straight up, like, dude, you got some serious walls up, and I can't work with you if you're not willing to put in a little bit of effort on your part, because I'm an interpreter. I'm not perfect. I see something, and if spirit says this, if they just show me this, what would you guys say? Right? So I get this vision. I'm like, you need to not talk so much, right? You need to be quiet. And they'll just be like, some people, I never talk. I am the most quiet person there is. I don't even have friends that I talk to. They'll go to the nth degree. I never this and I never that. And I don't even open my mouth. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, those are the moments where you're just like, why did spirit tell me that? And then they'll be like, oh, if they're open, then they'll go, wait a minute, I think I know what this is. And they'll figure it out with you, and they'll go, I think spirit's trying to tell me, because they realize it is coming from spirit. It's not coming from, I'm not going to make up some stupid thing like that. Like, people wouldn't make up something like that. The kind of things that I see that I have to bring to people's attention, I wouldn't make that kind of stuff up, guys. Come on, So they're like, okay, let me work with you. So how is it that I am kind of noisy or whatever? And then they'll go, well, sometimes I really overthink things. I think way too much, and I think that I should quiet my mind. And then all of a sudden I'll remember like something that I've said a long time ago, like when I was enlightened one time, I couldn't even talk. It was really hard to even relate to anybody anymore, because all I wanted to do is tell them shh. And all of a sudden that popped in my mind, and I was like, of course. They were saying for her to become enlightened, for her to become quiet within, for her to become one with God present in the moment. Duh. But in the moment that I just saw the shush, I told her to be quiet. Don't talk so much, and a lot of times I'm right on when I guess what it is that spirit is saying. But it's not, but when you're real confident and look, I don't know why spirit's telling you this, but this is what I was shown. Figure it out with me, or don't, or take what I say, my interpretation or whatever. But I'm just a human being, just like you are. I just happen to be paying attention to the subtleties that spirit is trying to express. And if you're wise, you'll work with me and figure it out with me. Because as I go, if we get in the flow, the person and I that I'm doing a reading with, if we start getting in a flow, we're like, yeah, I think we're figuring it out. Yeah. We start flowing with it, and there becomes like this thing where then spirit comes in and takes both of our energies and kind of does this really cool play with it. And then miracles start happening, and then tears start rolling. And then it's just this really incredible thing. And then who gets the most out of their money in that experience? The one that goes in with their guard up, you better prove yourself to me and tell me what his name is. Really? You think you know who this is? Tell me his name. Like, who do you think gets the more out of their money? The person who's like, all right, open heart. Let's just see what spirit has to say. Let's just see, and plays with me to get so much more out of the experience. And those are the testimonials I get that are just like, oh my gosh, that was a life-changing talk. That was incredible, Anyway, so what happens is you get enough of those bad apples and stuff, and you start building up your confidence to the point where you're just like, I know what spirit's showing me. You either figure it out with me or don't, or take my translation or don't. But it's nothing on me, and it's not going to make me doubt myself, and it's not going to make me question what I'm seeing. So something also to consider, you guys have to be confident in yourself, no matter if you're doing something so unique that nobody else has ever done it, no matter what it is, but also be willing to be wrong. Because you can't like reinforce your ego and say, I am right all the time. You may be highly accurate a lot. If you're an intuitive or whatever, you might be. It's kind of rare, but you might be accurate a lot of the time. But I feel like accuracy also involves being unbiased. So, and a lot of readers and psychics are too they're too jaded by their own experience. They're not healed enough within themselves to be able to be unbiased. So they add their opinions in there of things that are coming from hurt and pain, and they'll sway you in a way that's totally biased. So I think somebody who's really good and accurate and operating out of integrity, they keep their bias out of it. And I'm always feeling into whether spirit's agreeing with me on what I'm saying or not. And it usually is, but every once in a while I'll start to say something to somebody and I'll go, yeah, I think that you should blah, blah, blah. And then I'll feel a resistance to it. And it's like when you get good at this type of work, you really feel that subtlety. Somebody who is maybe a liar, who is a psychic, who's lying, or they don't care, they just want to make the money. They would say something to the effect of, they would feel that little twinge on their heart. They would feel the little warning and they would say it anyway, but I would be like, well, wait a minute, well, hang on, that could be wrong. That could be, let me feel that out again. And then I feel back into it. And I'd say, it's kind of like I was saying, but they're being more specific about that aspect of it. They really want you to take a look at that, not where I was going with it. It's more like about this. So people who've worked with me for a while or gotten readings with me for a while have seen me do that. At one point or another, they've seen me kind of back up for a minute and go back again and feel it out again and make sure that I'm correct. You know what I mean? So if you want to be really, really good at what you do, don't take shortcuts, don't cheat, don't lie. Always be checking your level of integrity, always be checking your authenticity, be willing to change your mind. I say it on my channel all the time. I may believe this right now, I may believe whatever it is. I may strongly believe something for a while, but if I find out and if my opinion starts to change, I will admit it. I will say that. So, and I think that is a mark of somebody who's wise and mature, that you're able to contemplate anything as possibly being true, even if it makes you wrong. So when you have to be right about everything, and when you stick to that needing to be right about everything, you're going to really screw up your life, because we have to be willing to evolve as people, especially during this time. We got to take our walls down. We have to be willing to be wrong and to apologize even, or whatever it is. So believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, form a really strong, no matter what you're doing, form a strong bond with God. Stay present in the moment and stay out of your head. Because if you actually accurately keep going toward the nudges of your heart, not what you think logically could make you some money or any of that stuff, you can't be coming from the Luciferian stuff. The Luciferians will say, you need to work really hard. You need to build from the burr, and you need to, there's all these rules and regulations to it. And because they want you to be in the rat race, they want you to be in a trap. But when you're truly listening to spirit and you feel inspired and you feel excited, I want to write a song. I want to make a poem. I want to, even though that isn't going to make you money in your logical brain, make the poem, make the song. You never know if that's going to be a multi-million-dollar song. You never know if that's going to be the thing that is going to be your niche. Always do what inspires you, and the money will come. And it's not even about money, because I feel like money is going to go away in the future. It's about being rewarded for following God's will. God's will for you will come through inspiration. So we have to learn to step out of our own way with this thing. And we have to get peaceful within. And we have to listen to the subtleties, and we have to make those judgment calls. Do I choose love or do I choose fear? And be willing to have all of it stripped away and still know your craft and still feel confident that God's got your back. That's what you want to start developing. So whatever it is that you want to do, don't worry If you have the certification is going away. All of that fancy dancy linear garbage that we've been taught all this time, it's all going away. We're all going to be, I believe we're all going to a time when we're all going to be like jack of all trades. Well, this person it happens to be naturally a great carpenter. This person over here happens to be really great with electrical things. So they're just going to plug in and help people here and there whenever they need it. And they're going to help them build their cat enclosure they want. This one's going to help them put the lights in. And this one, it's like everybody's going to buzz in, and then I'll pop in with my intuition, be like, I think it would be great if you guys could such and such. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks, Amy. And then I'm going to jump out and do something else. And it's going to be much more free flowy, and nobody's going to have to get certification or have to been through 10 years or 12 years of grueling, suffering nonsense to be able to be up on their pedestal bragging about their certification. So you guys got to throw that stuff out. Follow your heart. What do you feel drawn to learn about right now? Read the book. That's it. That's all I did. I wanted to learn about Qigong a long time ago. So I thought, okay, I'm going to learn all about Qigong. I went through 3 levels of certification as a Qigong master. I did all that, and I still didn't use all of what I was taught in that program. And it wasn't even Master Gu back then. So, I learned all of that stuff. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to take all that and I'm going to make my own thing with it. So I totally ran with a totally different thing. But some of the stuff that I do, it stems from what I learned from that, but it's not that. I'm not teaching the original thing that I was taught. It's I just use it the way that I use it. You know what I mean? I even went across the world to go get mentored by a beautiful man, Eusebio, he's amazing. I love him so much. We are so connected. It is just like tears flow when he and I are in the same room together. We just love each other so much. I went over to get mentored by him and spent like a week with him, only to realize he's doing the same thing I do, and I sought out the best possible healer in the world. And I just did so much research to find the person, right? I would say the only person who is more skilled than he and I is his mentor, and who I've never met. And I would love to meet that man. But that's about it, So I went there just to realize and even gain more confidence that I know what I'm doing. He's doing the same thing that I do. He's just doing it in a different way. So just keep doing what you love doing, and thank God I went to see him, because we have this amazing bond that will never die. What we have will never die. And I would never have met that beautiful man that has tattoos all over him and looks like the scariest man on the planet, but has the biggest heart I've ever seen. Like, you just follow that adventure that your heart pulls you towards, and you get rewarded like that. And the most incredible miracles happen all along the way to affirm you're on the right path. The money will come. If the money doesn't come, then the free place to stay will come. And if the free place to stay doesn't come, then you meet an incredible neighbor that just lights your world up. Or, it's like, it just keeps rolling in. Abundance. I hear some of you saying it's abundance. It is abundance. But it's just, you feel supported and you feel loved and you feel genuinely, when you are really putting yourself out there authentically, you really do feel loved. If somebody compliments you, you don't feel like a big fake and a phony. You're like, oh yeah, you just love how I act. That people know your ugly stuff and they know your good stuff, and they know the mix of it. Now, this is really good for dating too. When you meet your counterpart, do not people please that person. Do not sit there and be the persona, and be the like, oh yeah, I really like that. When you don't like that, they don't do that. If you don't like something, say, well, that's your thing, but I've never really been into it. Maybe you could get me to like it. I don't know, but right now I really don't like it. Have an open mind, but say the truth. Because that's how you're truly going to feel loved. If you put up an act, and if you act fake with that person, or if you try to, oh, I just like you so much, please stay around, please. I'll make whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. You can step all over me if you want to. It's like, don't do that. Don't do that. You'll end up resenting yourself and the other person. And, if you feel like your person would think that you were just the most incredible thing in the world, and you would sit there and go, oh, no, 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 I'm not. Oh, no, I'm not. If you feel like you would do that, you just don't love yourself enough yet. You better work on that. You better work on being able to take any compliment they give you and at least considering it could be true. You got to be willing to take a compliment, because that's going to drive your person crazy if they cannot get through to you. Like, I've shared the story a lot, but a lot of you are new, so I'm going to share it again. There was this really precious couple that came into me at the Lighthouse bookstore when I used to do readings there. They were so cute and they were so in love. Oh my God, they were just perfect for each other. It seemed like they were just amazing. I was just watching them, just going, oh, this is just so. But when it came time for her to do her reading, she goes, could you make him love me more? And I was like, what are you talking about? That man is so in love with you. He's like walking around like a puppy dog. Like he's like, I saw him, I don't even know how to explain it. I would love to be loved like that man loved that girl. Like, oh my God, it was so obvious he was so crazy about that girl. But for her to say that, I was so shocked. I didn't know what to do. I was just like, you don't see how much he loves you? I was like, what? I look at him like shocked, and he looks at me like, this is what I'm dealing with. And I'm just like going, oh my God, like, how does this even happen? That's total cognitive dissonance. So I just was like, do you not love yourself? She goes, what's there to love about me? You're beautiful. No, I'm not. There are people far more beautiful than I am. You're sensitive, you're sweet. No, I have this other side that I'm just like, she had an answer for everything. And I just looked at him. I said, I'm so sorry. Because no matter what he was saying to her, no matter how he was trying to show her how much he loved her, she wouldn't hear it. She absolutely refused. And that relationship couldn't last. But man, did it have potential. Unless she, and I, of course, told her different ways she could start loving herself. But I told her my perspective, and I said, girl, like I have never seen a man act this way with a woman before. And I would do anything to have that kind of love. Like it was adorable. And I said, the fact that you can't see it is really alarming for me. And I said, you need to love yourself. You need to be willing to take in what he's saying to you right now. Like, you really got to own it. Like, know it. Know that you're beautiful. Know that you're worth the adoration. Know that you're, again, those damn Luciferians teaching us to be little weak little mouses like I was when I first started out. Oh, who am I to make money doing this? No one's going to want to pay me. No one wants to give me a testimonial. Like, who am I to listen to my intuition? My intuition's got to be wrong. It's wrong at least 50% of the time. I mean, it's like we torture ourselves trying to be these little mice when we're actually like these really big, powerful kings and queens with wings. We're like these amazing creatures, and the bad guys know it, and they do not want us to find that out. But as you start having more faith and confidence in yourself, and you block out any kind of bullshit around you, no matter who's saying it, no matter who claims to be some kind of authority, forget about them. Let's forget about certification. Forget about the fancy pants that talk in technical terms. Forget about people who do quantum mechanics like the back of their hand. Forget about the people who have been scientists for a long time and know this, that, and the other. Forget about people who speak like angel language. Oh my gosh, angel language. Or who travel the world and do their toning on the earth. We are all here to do what we're doing, and we all do it differently and in our own flavor. Let everybody do what they do and be amazing at it. And you can still be amazing at what you do. There's no comparison. You're not comparing yourself to those other people who are rocking it in their own way. Don't compare yourself with other people. Just be you authentically. Just be totally, completely you, and follow your heart, and you will be rewarded by God And when you get rewarded by God, you would not believe the miracles that start happening in your life from every direction. From every direction, it just starts pouring in the blessings too. And I encourage you all along the way, just put your hand on your heart. And I'm not going to say what you think I'm about to say. Put your hand on your heart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Just thank you. Do that every moment that you cherish along the way, and you will create more and more and more and more things that create you to feel that way, that cause you to feel that way. Okay. So I guess that's all. Is there anything else you guys wanted to say? They're showing me these purple cards. Oh, well, what do you know? There's these little cards inserted in here. New or revived relationship, soulmate. I wonder how those got in there. Okay, so let me just shuffle. The Spirit's got some more to tell you guys. See, I always do what Spirit wants me to do. And a part of me is like, oh, this is getting long. And the other part of me is like, who cares? I'm doing God's will. It's multifaceted. What you're dealing with could be totally multifaceted. It could involve a lot of different moving parts. Did I know that I'd be like an animal trainer and a psychic and a medium and a clairvoyant and, talking on people's channels, doing interviews and making videos for people and doing healing for people. And it's like, it's totally multifaceted. It makes me unique. Did I know I'd be talking about leprechauns and fairies and unicorns and things? No, I did not know that I was going to do that initially. It got thrown in the pot too. Qigong got thrown in the pot. All of this as I went along, started making videos. I mean, I started out like doing green screens like a long time ago because I thought it'd be fun to put different backgrounds in my videos from time to time. Like I'd have a desert one day, a forest the next day. I thought it would be really pretty and kind of interesting because you're not staring at the same background all the time. And so I learned about green screen and all that stuff. Did anybody watch my videos back then? No, maybe 10 people. It's like, but I was just learning and I was practicing my learning to work with different programs, producing programs, video software and things like that I now would be using today. So it may be multifaceted. It may not be as cut and dry and black and white as you think that it's going to be at this point in time, but just keep pulling together those bits and pieces because it's part of your life purpose. You might be a mutt. You might have crystal bowls, crystals, and alligators, eagles. You might have such a different combination that you're just like, how could I put all that together? How is that even possible? Like, but that's what's going to make you extraordinary and make you stand out, especially if you do it authentically. You know what I mean? Take it easy on yourself and gain increased support when you need to. Don't be critical of yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't compare yourself with other people. Just get increased support. Read a book, talk to people, ask them what they would do, ask them what they have done. Go to successful people who've already made it, get their advice, and always make time for self-care and don't strive, just receive and allow. Because you've got your passion and purpose on. Just keep following your passion, what you're passionate about, what you really want to see happen in your life. Your enthusiasm gives energy and motivation to work on a meaningful project that's dear to your heart. So just keep following that. Let yourself sparkle and shine. You are guided to be bold and show your bigger than life side to the world, guys. You know what you're good at. So don't let your self-doubt sneak in. Don't let those Luciferian programming, get the best of you. Rise above any kind of self-doubt and just say, you know what? I enjoy it, so I'm going to do it. Period. I enjoy it, so I'm going to do it. And if I get paid for it, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And when that gets old, what do I feel passionate and excited about now? It may not be just one thing for the rest of your life. And maybe now you get to go do this, and that, and the other thing. It expands out or changes or shifts. And ceremonies and celebrations, it's a time of important life passages. So get going on this. This is your little wink from the universe to get going on that thing that you really, truly love. Value your self-worth. Know that you're willing, that you're worthy of receiving, and be willing to just do God's will. God's will would not be something that hurts or takes advantage of others in a way that's harmful or causes suffering in any way. So keep that in mind. You are not, you guys know, like inspiration, there's gluttony and there's inspiration. Go toward the inspiration. Go toward the inspiration. None of you who are watching this are coming from a bad place anyway. Prosperity. See, there's a positive shift in your flow of divine support. Oh, they want me to mention humanitarian projects too. So I feel like the divine support is also talking about how the RVs are going to pay off. Zimbabwe notes. Get Zimbabwe notes if you don't have them, at least one. You can get one for like, I don't know, 20 something, $50. It could really pay off. So why not? If you've got that to spare, then spend it and get a Zimbabwe note. And one of the websites is 100 trillions. So 100 trillions, I think trillion, maybe it's trillion, 100trillion.com. Yeah, but be thinking about, like, have fun like a little kid, like sit there and design a facility. What do you want to create? What are you passionate about? What do you really love? Do you love animals, motorcycles? Do you love, like you feel like if everybody could have a motorcycle, oh my gosh, they would be the happiest people on the planet. Or if everybody could do, like, jump on a trampoline, whatever your thing is, make a trampoline place where people could get in for free and come do the trampoline and have fun and giggle and laugh, and funny things up on the screen that make you laugh. I don't know, whatever your thing is, like, try to create a massive humanitarian project around that. Bring joy to this world. We need people who start thinking outside the box and who are willing to step outside their comfort zone to pursue their dreams, to start being the creators of this new earth. And we need to be in that state of inspiration right now, instead of fear, instead of the awakening is happening for the sleepers, but those of us who are awake, we need to not fear anything right now. God's in control, guys. He's already won this. Don't even worry. They're just trying to wake up those guys. You guys who are awake as to what's going on, that's all that needed to happen. Now that you're awake, now it's time to dream. Now it's time to build those facilities. Now it's time to create those humanitarian projects. Now it's time to get your organic garden growing in your backyard. Now it's time to start thinking, how do I become totally sovereign? And how do I create a new system? How do we create, like, community projects? How do we come together and create new things outside the box? We got to think outside the box right now, because what we're imagining and dreaming of and plotting and putting down, like, think of when you played Barbies when you were little, or I don't know, G.I. Joe or whatever you did. Think of all that energy you were putting into that as a kid. You were creating back then what you've got now. Like, anything that brought you joy back when you were a little kid, when you played, you've created this coming into your life now. So get back into that playful mode. Like, I just want to play and create and have fun with it and mess around in the mud and, like, dream of what it would be like to, like, when I was a kid, I thought I'd have, like, a horse ranch, and there'd be the horses that are ill over there and they need regular exercising so, they don't atrophy. And then there's the ones over here that they need vet care and they need and then there's the ones over here, there's the stallions that are out of control and they need bars on their stalls. And then, I would play like I had a facility, like a stables. It's not that I want that now, but it's just, that's what I, and I have volunteered at horse ranches since, but just be going back to that state of when you were a kid and start that daydreaming. Love life, new or renewed romantic love is here for you. So, and ceremonies and celebrations. I mean, you might be getting married and doing your passion project with your person. That's what my channel is all about, is true love and truth. Truth and true love. I like that. Okay. So stay strong in your faith and clear any negativity, guys. Stay strong in your faith and clear all negativity. And you're going to help save this world and bring us to the new earth. Whatever you put your attention on, you are creating more of. So put your attention on that which inspires you. No matter how much doubt or any of that other garbage that comes up, it doesn't matter. Just ignore it. Just ignore it, put your blinders on, and just get to work on it. Get to work on it. That's where you're going to find that fulfillment and that happiness. Okay, guys, hope this helped you in some way. Have yourself a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you next time I come up with one of these. Bye.